Family reunification continues to be a major priority for the Canadian government as it plays a huge role in attracting and retaining immigrants. So yes, international students may be able to bring their spouse, common law partner, or even a dependent child into Canada. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, you're welcome. My name is Nneka, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about bringing your family into Canada as an international student. By family I mean your spouse, common law partner, or a dependent child. To make this video a bit organized and easy to understand, I'm going to section it into 6 different parts. The first part is who is eligible. The second is the spousal open work permit. The third part is all about the dependent child and the things you have to know concerning that. The fourth is the best time to apply. The fifth part is going to be the processing time. How long is this going to take you? The sixth and final part is going to be all about finances. So the first part of this video is who is eligible. As an international student, there are certain criteria you have to meet or you must meet before you can be eligible to bring your family into the country. The first is you have to have a valid study permit. The second point is you are eligible for a PGWP. PGWP meaning a postgraduate work permit. Just in case you don't know what that is, I've made several videos concerning postgraduate work permit, DLI list, which is designated learning institutions. So I'll leave the links in the description box. So make sure you click on them to give you further information about those topics. The third is you're a full-time student at one of these type of schools, which is a public post-secondary school such as a college or a university or a CEGEP in Quebec, a private college level school in Quebec, or a Canadian private school that can legally award degrees under provincial law, for example bachelor's, master's, or a doctorate degree. So for you to be eligible to invite your family or bring your family into the country, you need to make sure that you have all these criteria checked before you proceed with your study permit. After you're eligible and you've met all those criteria, the next thing now to think about or to ponder about is your spousal open work permit. Just in case you don't know what an open work permit is, an open work permit is a work permit that is not job specific. So it doesn't limit you to a certain kind of job or a certain kind of skill. And due to the fact that this kind of permit is not job specific, you will not require things like a LMIA, which is a labor market impact assessment. You will also need a proof that an employer has submitted an offer of employment through the employer portal and paid the employer compliance fee. So those are 2 things you would not need if you ever get an open work permit, which is amazing because most of the restrictions or problems people have with work permit is trying to find a job or trying to get an employment letter from their employers. But with open work permits, you don't have to do that. An open work permit comes with certain limitations like working in schools or working in a hospital, except you provide a medical examination. I think the government of Canada actually kept these restrictions because of vulnerable population like children. Of course, people in the hospital are way vulnerable than healthier people, right? So except you provide a medical examination, you can't work in these sectors. So basically, a spousal open work permit will allow your spouse or your common law partner to work in Canada. A spousal work permit is valid for the same duration as your study permit. So maybe for example, your study permit is going to expire in December 31st, 2023, and you apply or your spouse applies for a spousal open work permit. His work permit is also going to expire December 31st of 2023. And if you as an international student gets your PGWP, right, or extend your study permit, he can also extend his open work permit to the duration of your PGWP or your study permit extension. Your spouse can come in as a visitor. He can come in with a visitor's visa to see you and apply for a spousal open work permit from within Canada. So he can get an open work permit either ways, either from outside of Canada or from within Canada when he applies for a visitor's visa. So you have 2 different options. I said this in my previous immigration video. One thing I really love about the spousal open work permit is, so since your spouse is coming in with an open work permit, if peradventure he lands a skilled job, he can actually be eligible to apply for PR way before you're done with school. And when he's applying for his permanent residence, he can also apply for you as well as his partner or as his spouse. So this is one of the reasons I love the spousal open work permit, because it gives you more opportunity to grow in terms of the Canadian immigration levels. So now let's talk about dependent children or your dependent. On the Canadian immigration website, it states that a dependent child of an international student doesn't require a study permit to come into Canada. Dependent child can come into Canada with a visitor's visa and still be authorized to study. But from my own experience with friends who have children and have gone through this process, we kind of noticed that when they bring their child in with a visitor's visa, they don't have any problem with the Canadian immigration or whatever. The only problem that they kind of have is there's always a delay with their schooling, and I'll kind of explain. Most times the schools that the parents apply for the child would say, okay, they need a study permit, and if they don't have a study permit, they might eventually accept the child into the school, but there's always like a bit of delay or back and forth that the parents always have to go through with the school. Usually what most parents do is they just apply for a study permit for their child, just so that they don't have to go through this process. If you bring your dependent child into Canada, your child doesn't have to pay international student rate school fees. They pay the local student fees. So for example, if the school fees for international students is 25,000 Canadian dollars and that of a local student is probably like $2,000, your child is going to pay $2,000 for tuition fee. Okay, if your child comes to Canada with a visitor's visa, the only issue or delay you might have is with the school, but aside that, you're good. So now let's talk about the fourth part of this video, which is the best time to apply for a spousal open work permit and also a visitor's visa or probably a study visa for your dependent. From the experience of people that are around me or people that have gone through this process, it's best to come in as an international student, bring your spouse or your common law partner and also your child when you're already here. I've said this in a previous video before. The main objective or goal of your immigration officer is to make sure that you go back to your home country after you're done schooling. Even if they know you will stay, that is their main goal and that is their main objective. And that's why anytime you get a rejection, you will always see a statement like, I am not satisfied that you will leave Canada at the end of your stay based on. So their main objective is for you to actually pack your bags and leave. So if you don't have any ties back home, tendency of giving you your study permit is way lower. You're coming with your spouse and you're coming with your family. So in their mind, they're like, okay, so what is tying you back to your home country? How are they sure that you're going to go back to your home country if you don't have any family ties? Except you have like a strong proof that maybe you have certain assets or you have a business or you have other family members that you would want to go back to. That's when maybe that might work for you. But it's always advisable for you to process your study permit first. Then when you're here, you can now process your spouse open work permit and that of your children as well. The denial is way higher than just coming in as a student on your own. This is just from experience. It's not written on the Canadian immigration website that this is the rule you must follow, okay? So that's what I feel is the best time for you to apply for an open work permit for your spouse or a visitor's visa or study permit for your dependent child. The next part of this video is going to be all about finances. There's application fee and there's also proof of funds, okay? If you're going to be coming in as a student, of course you have to pay a study permit fee, which is 150 Canadian dollars, and a spousal open work permit costs 100 Canadian dollars. If you want to go through the visitor visa route, that costs $100 as well. And concerning proof of funds, if you're coming in alone as a student, you would have to have 10,000 Canadian dollars in your bank account. If you're going to come in with an extra person, maybe your spouse or dependent child, you have to add an extra 4,000 Canadian dollars to that. And if you're bringing a third family member, you have to add an extra 3,000 Canadian dollars to that. So for example, if you're a family of 3, you have to prove 17,000 Canadian dollars. And this is if you're outside of Quebec. If you're in Quebec, then the funds are different. The final part of this video is concerning processing time. And on the Canadian immigration, it says that an open work permit usually takes several months. There was no specific timeline to it. So if you're going to start this, you have to start it early. Okay guys, so that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it and I also hope you learned a thing or two. Just in case you have any further questions or any contribution to what I said, please leave that in the comment section. Thank you guys so much for watching and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.